people who you are and how you.
My name is Michal Ofer. I am a functional nutritionist.
I'm in book number 21. You're in book number 22 that is just released like today.
Facing head-on the emotions beneath the surface as we bridge from an old world of confusion and lack to a beautiful new world of freedom, abundance, and love with straightforward truth and inspired hope is what you'll find on the Charla Anderson Show. Collector and connector of fascinating people. And everyone is fascinating. Here's your host, Charla Anderson.
Well, good, beautiful day, you beautiful, beautiful souls. This is Charla Anderson, host of the Charla Anderson Show, collector and connector of fascinating people, and everyone is fascinating, especially you. You're going to be wowed today, and I'm so excited because we've got somebody who has the other side of the nutrition scale and actually does incredible promotion about good diets with meat, and I'm so excited about that. So we're going to meet Michal Ofer, and we're going to learn all about that. But first, we're going to take our little mini vacation, our 22-second mini vacation. We're going to take our little breathing in some calm, holding it for 7 seconds, hold for 4, and breathe out gratitude. So let's just take that on right now. Let's take our little breathing in calm. Hold. Release, relax. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. To me, every week I'm like, I wish I would do that more often. And I want you to introduce yourself, tell us who you are in this world, but excuse me for 1 second while I do one of those other things I forgot to do, live stream on. So let me make sure we got live stream going, and it'll probably have you and me click a little button somewhere. So sorry about that. Here we go. Okay, Michal, is that correct?
Charla, it's perfect. Yes, thank you.
From South Africa. Oh my goodness. And Midland, Texas. I mean, we just think it's kind of funny to me that we're finding our my guests are coming from South Africa, but they live in Midland or Gun Barrel City or something. So we're having a lot of fun with that. So, but you and I both are a member of the Change book, the book series that with Les Brown that we're so proud of. And I want to know who you are in this world. Let's tell these people who you are and how you got to Midland, Texas.
Oh, wow. Well, it's been a bit of a journey around the world, which has been great. My name is Michal Ofer, as you said. I am a functional nutritionist, or a functional nutrition consultant, I guess would be the official term. I create customized programs for groups and for individuals, teaching them how to optimize their nutrition so that they can live their best lives in their bodies and feel amazing. And this means helping them appropriately and effectively manage aging, manage weight, manage illness, especially all of the chronic illness that exists on this planet, and literally just how to live well in your skin, how to be strong and powerful from the inside out, which I think is important because we speak a lot, and especially in the Change, we're surrounded a lot with people who deal with mindset and with the brain and with thinking. And the brain needs to be nourished and nourished appropriately so that it can work its power and work its magic, and that our energy can be everything that it needs to be to live our best lives for ourselves and then for everybody else. And it took me a while to get here. Most of us in the personal development health space didn't wake up one day and say, hey, this is what I want to do. We all go through a journey and a story, and mine started when I was really young, but climaxed probably just over 20 years ago. in my very early 30s when I was incredibly ill. And I was hospitalized. I was put on what we would call a standard American diet. I was put on multiple medications, and I was pretty much told that this was going to be me for the rest of my life. And I make a joke. I say that I was on, I probably took, this wasn't different medications. This was just pills. I was taking over 20 pills a day. And I always say I was taking a pill for everything from thinking to pooping, everything in between. And every time I ate, no matter what I ate, my stomach would swell up so much and my skin would stretch that I was in pain. It was just not comfortable. I was depressed. I was 30. Like I was in my, like, it was awful. And I didn't feel good. And through a series of events, I decided one day to stop the medications. It was when my psychiatrist said to me, let's give you some Zoloft. You're depressed. I was like, of course I'm depressed. I'm like, let's give you some Zoloft. And for me, that was my straw that broke the camel's back. Started looking around, researching, decided to stop all my medications, literally all of them, all at once. And especially one which I had discovered has a link to depression, to mood disorders. Funny that, right? Anyway, the story is interesting because it was a big deal for me to stop the medications because I was concerned that my medical care would suffer, or that something would happen to me and the doctors would blame me for going off the medications, right? We're scared. We're really told to believe that our doctors know everything, not just know best, but know everything. And who are we to question? So it was a Friday, and I have at the time he was my partner, now he is my husband, who works out of town. And we would speak every morning and every evening, and he was quite supportive of what I was doing. So on the Friday, I took no medications, nothing at all. And on Sunday morning, he called me and we were talking, and he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Why? Like, what's going on?" He said, "For the first time in ages, you sound normal." And I was like, wow, that was a big deal. And then I had a friend who had struggled with a lot of digestive issues, and she was following a plan. Actually, it was the 4-Hour Body by Tim Ferriss, which had just come out at the time, and it was a really popular book. And I said to her, "Do you think I should perhaps follow the diet?" And I was very malnourished at the time because I couldn't eat properly, and I was on the standard American. Anyway, for all of that. And she said to me, "Michal, you don't want to be losing weight." And I was like, no, I don't want it to lose weight. I want it because you feel so good on it. She's like, "I don't know, do what you want." So I started on this program, which on a very basic level was cutting out gluten and dairy and soy and seed oils. And literally, again, it was for me, and this isn't everybody's story, but for me, it was miraculous. I could eat. I could eat without feeling pain and discomfort. I could go to the washroom without medication. This was a big deal. I felt fantastic. This evolved because there were parts of the plan that I didn't like. I ended up studying under some amazing mentors who have since become really big names in the space. I decided to get some coaching certifications, which I did through the Institute of Integrative Nutrition and through the Certified Coaching Federation. I decided to get some nutrition education, which I did through the Institute for Functional Medicine and the University of Stanford and the University of Boulder in Colorado, amongst other places, a whole bunch of certifications. And it was more just to learn, how do we do this? Like, what's going on? How do I talk about this to other people effectively? And I was still in my regular job. And eventually, as has happened to many of us, this slowly transitioned into doing the coaching and the consulting full time. Now, the journey has evolved. The nutrition journey has evolved, of course, as the education evolves, as the this, I hate to say the science, but as the research becomes clearer, or as we learn more about the research, or as we learn more about ourselves and the nuance, and we learn more about the people that we work with. Some of my biggest aha or learning moments come from my clients, because they teach me so much, and that lands me where I am now. I had through this period of time, I had immigrated from South Africa to Canada, which is where I met my husband partner, and we moved across Canada a few times. He works in Texas, here where I live now, and we decided to move ourselves down here. So it's definitely been an evolution in many ways. So that's the long short version of what brings me here today. Eventually, I had the opportunity to join the change movement, which I'm so glad that I said yes to, because some of the most amazing people that I have met in the last few months since I joined have been in this group, one of them being you. And
well, let's talk about that, because we both know I'm in book number 21. You're in book number 22 that is just released like today or yesterday, and available. And you don't even have yours yet. But yeah, so they're the fastest growing compilation book. It's a completely different animal than most compilation books. Jim Britt and Jim Lutz are amazing. Mine has Les Brown on the cover, but he wrote the foreword to all of them. This is an opportunity to have credibility factor in you. And so if you would like this, they're looking for authors for book 23. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, it's probably one of the better decisions I've made, not just to be in the book. I wrote a chapter, but to be in the Facebook group that is powerful, and to have that monthly mastermind with these two gentlemen that are brilliant, world-class, brilliant people, and a very fast-growing book. So anyway, there's a fee to it, but I found it, I was surprised at how little it was, and how great value we have in that. So if somebody knows me and wants to be in the change book, contact me. Somebody knows me, Michal. I'm going to get it.
You said
Michal.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
There we go. So, reach out to her if you want. I feel like it's a huge, beautiful opportunity to add a little twist of credibility to our lives. So that being said, the change, that's how we know.
I do want to add something to that, just because I think it's important from a business development perspective, because the book is about transformation, and it's fabulous, and it's also about transforming ourselves and our own mindsets. And when you were talking about value, I think I have learned. Now, I joined in May of this year, so it's probably about 6 months. I have learned more in 6 months in that group and from Jim Britt and Jim Lutz about business development than I have in all the years that I have been doing this, and all the courses that I have done, and I have done many, and more in 6 months for a whole bunch less of an investment. So if anybody is on the fence about this, I would have done this even not to, I'm so glad I have the chapter, but even not to have the chapter, simply to have the mentorship, because it's that amazing.
I agree. I'm a personal development junkie. Just ask, how many boxes and bookshelves and attics full of books and stuff and courses. And I'm a sponge. I want it all. And they're so get down to the nitty gritty and just do it. Right. And I'm just very impressed with them as well. So yeah, that's how we know each other, through the Facebook group. And many of my guests now are coming through that book. I've got 2 or 3 groups that I'm booked all the way to the end of, I think into March. So yeah, this is, what is this, November, middle of November. So yeah, we're moving on with all these. And I just love, I love this community, and they're brilliant, totally brilliant. And so, okay, so I do like when I have a guest on from the Change series that we do talk about that, so that someone, hey, I want to be on a book with Les Brown, and all these brilliant people. But that, like you said, the mastermind and the Facebook group are the most valuable piece for sure. So you brought up a few things that I want to just address. And I think 2 weeks ago, I did a rant. I did a rant on Facebook, and then I did a whole show about the rant that I did on Facebook. And it started with this little meme that said something about plants aren't alternative medicine. They are the original medicine. Something went off in me, and I did this whole rant. You said got off your meds. I'll be 71 in 2 weeks, and I have no orange bottles. So this rant included all that. I have no, I don't, and I talked about the white coat syndrome. And most people don't realize that the white coat syndrome, it is actually in the 40s, a marketing company, advertising company, created the white coats for medical doctors so that they have this authority. And it worked. It worked very well. You said it, we think that they know everything. You said it. I know I use this example too. My mom, my sister was born in the early 40s, and she was told when she had her baby to go home and lay in bed for 2 weeks. Don't get up. Don't take care of that baby. You've got, I'm the authority here, and I'm going to tell you how to do. And I was like, don't you think billions of people over the centuries and, have been, dropped a baby, squat down in the field, have their baby, strap it on, catch up with the tribe. I mean, it's not rocket science. And they've taken that, so that's just part of when I started having my babies and realized that, I was like, having, childbirth is as natural as anything else there is out there. And so what you've brought up, I really love the idea that what you found in the nutritional side of things that is not taught in the medical schools, that also in the 20s and 30s, if a medical school taught one thing that was holistic or nutritional or healthy from natural and not in the pharmaceutical oil-based side of things, that they would not get funding, and that not one single normal, standard university that teaches is medical schools, if they want funding, they don't get, or grants or whatever it is, they don't get, they can't teach nutrition. I've also watched nutritionists, they've come through the system. She went through the refrigerator of a friend of mine years ago, and she's like, oh yeah, this has got fat in it, and this has got sugar in it. And to me, I wrote a poem, pink, yellow, and blue, they're killing you. Those artificial sweeteners in every product, and including high fructose corn syrup. But I'm telling you, you are doing something great, because and I'll just ask you to address this. I know I'm rambling too, but I believe, and I've read this recently, that it looks as if our society has become, the men have become very effeminate or weaker than, we don't have the John Waynes much out there anymore, right? So, and I'm not saying psychologically that there's anything wrong with, being balanced with your emotions and all that, but, I was told that meat, lard, butter, the good oils, the good fats, and the good proteins are required for that development. Okay, your turn.
All right. So I'll start with this. Modern medicine is miraculous, right? It has saved lives. It has done amazing things. Many of us would not be here today were it not for the advent of antibiotics or cleanliness, hygienic procedures in surgery, and all of those things. When it comes to acute care and acute conditions, acute meaning that it's something that can be fixed, right? That there's a definite cause and there's a definite solution, right? Like a
broken arm or something. Yeah.
Yeah, or you get a really bad infection. Modern medicine is miraculous. And there is definitely a time and a place for medications. So I need to simply put that out there because I'm not saying never take another medication again. However, when you translate this model, which we call the allopathic model, into chronic illness, which is things that develop over time, things that manifest in your body. So I'll use an example like Alzheimer's doesn't start when you're 80. Alzheimer's starts when you're 20. And you start to see symptoms maybe in your 60s and your 70s and your 80s, maybe, hopefully not. And then it can manifest into full-blown later on. Modern medicine is this allopathic model is very ill-equipped to deal with it. Why? Because we have symptom, pharmaceutical intervention, which creates no more symptom, which is solution, right? That's great if you have a cut on your arm. It's not great if you have a disease that has developed over time, because what caused that? And how do we manage what caused it, as opposed to looking simply at the symptom, right? Which means I'm losing my memory or my brain isn't working. And how do we manage that symptom? And we know we are unbelievably bad at it. We, at best, can do some symptom management. At worst, we and maybe retard or slow down the development of the illness. At worst, we do nothing, and the illness just devolves. So that's one part of the equation. And then the other part is humans have always gotten illnesses, but the epidemic of chronic illness is very much a 20th, 21st century issue. Yes, people got things maybe like heart disease or dementia or cancers, maybe diabetes in the many centuries that have gone by, but it wasn't at the rates that it is today. Right now, 1 in 3 Americans is diabetic or pre-diabetic. That's huge. And it's going up exponentially every single year. Why is this going on? Nobody's asking why, because our current model is only dealing with the end point, which they don't even deal with the pre-diabetes. They deal with the end point, the diabetes. If you can catch someone at pre-diabetes, you can prevent that. The reason that I'm ranting on about that before the food is because there have been many changes since the early 1900s, many. And there's many reasons for this rise in chronic illness. But one of the big factors that's played a role in this is the change and the shift in the human diet. And if we look at humans, every single animal on this planet has its own special type of diet. Koala bears eat eucalyptus leaves. Cows and ruminants, which is animals that have 4 stomachs, so cows, sheep, deer, those types of things, they eat grasses and leaves depending on their on their type, right? Chickens or pigs, those are monogastric animals. Those are scavengers. They like to eat, they'll eat everything. They'll eat the bugs and the plants and those types of things. Lions and tigers and those eat other animals. They're full-on carnivores. What is the human diet from an animal perspective? And if you're looking at that, one of the things that made us human, always from the very beginning, the reason that our brains grew and the reason that we stood up is we found a way to extract nutrients from meat. We have amazing brains, and we learned, and as this grew, we learned how to break open bones and suck the bone marrow. We learned how to eat the meat. This allowed us to stand up right? To become strong and powerful, to become the apex predators, not because we were the biggest or the strongest, but because we were the smartest. And meat has seen us through multiple generations for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. The human body is also amazing because we can survive on almost anything. You could survive on tree bark if you had to, right? So we learned that in times of scarcity, we could survive on things other than meat as well. But from a fundamental perspective, meat was always our primary source of food that we would want to get if we could. There's no cave drawings of people, scavenging for plants. It's all people, humans hunting. And then certain things changed, and there's a long story that's involved with it. And we really don't have time to get into that now. There's some fantastic books written about it. If anybody wants more information, feel free to reach out and contact me. We can have a great discussion. But our government was particularly worried about the decrease in health in the North American population. And through certain influences, they developed the nutritional guidelines for America. And this was in the late 60s and early 70s, where our diet changed fundamentally from a diet focused on meats and the healthy fats that came in meats. Because if you think about your great-grandparents, what they ate, like they were working the farm and they were doing a lot of labor every day, and breakfast was bacon and eggs. There were other things, but you needed a hearty breakfast to see you through lunch, right? And dinner was like a good stew with a whole bunch of meat in, especially if you could afford it, because you had to fuel yourself for the next day. Even if you look at the 16 and 17 and 1800s, the people that ate the meat were the rich people, right? And then sugar, sadly. But the rich people ate the meat. Why? Because that was our nutritional source. And this changed. The focus changed from meats and the fats around the meats to more plant-based foods, because there was a misguided belief that saturated fat caused heart disease. In an era where more people were smoking, where smoking was really, really popular. And this wasn't taken into account. So as I said, it was misguided. And again, there's a lot of science around that. So our diets and this nutritional guidelines evolved into the food pyramid, which has evolved into My Plate. And it's become a lot less of a it's a wishy-washy scientific document. And there's a whole bunch of money that's been poured into that. And now the diet is predominantly carbohydrate-based and very minimally protein-based. And even the fats in the diet have been increased, but the types of fats have changed, and they're not the fats that are generally neutral or not problematic for the human body. So what has happened since when they implemented these guidelines, it was all done, the science wasn't clear. But it was like, we have to do something now. This is the best we got. And it kind of stuck. And we've become sicker and fatter as a population ever since then, right? When I say, if you look at the rates of chronic disease have skyrocketed, and we're absolutely unable to manage it.
Since the 60s and 70s, when they shifted all that, nobody, if you look at pictures back in the 70s, and we're thin. Yeah. There's no bellies, and they're healthy, happy belly. There's no obesity or so little of it that I witnessed that. And it's at the same time when they are offered artificial sweeteners, artificial fats, it's all chemical based. All those things are chemical based, not to mention the farming and the where they started spraying and putting, it's right. And by the way, I'll just add this because I saw the menu for a preschool or elementary school lunch menu from what we got when we were little, right? They have it's Pop-Tarts, they've got Lucky Charms, they've got, I mean, it's their school menu and what they're getting at breakfast. And I saw that, I think children, you eat a bowl of cereal, sweet cereal and a glass of orange juice, you've got 42, what's it called? Sweet,
Teaspoons. Well, 42 grams of
grams of sugar or sweet before they go to school. And then there's ADHD and there are all these other things and the dyes and all this stuff. And it's not the kids' fault, it's the food. And their parents and the schools all in cahoots because it's easy.
Well,
And I call it stomach fillers. It's easy and it tastes, what we've learned to taste, like the taste.
Absolutely. And, when people say, well, nobody follows the food guidelines, everybody follows the food guidelines. Lunch programs at school are run by the food, any federal funding that you need in any program for food has to follow the food guidelines. But what I wanted to talk about was, from my perspective, you have to start with, when you're looking at nutrition, you have to start with the basics. And the basics is structure, right? We are made up of amino acids, and amino acids make up something called protein. There are 9 essential amino acids that we need to eat in certain amounts and in certain ratios every single day. We cannot store them. We need to eat them, right? When you need more of them, your body has only one way of telling you that you need more of them, and that's, I'm hungry, right? Amino acids are life. Every single thing on this planet has amino acids in it. So you will hear plant protein, animal protein. Everything has these amino acids in it. Amino acids are what we call protein. So we never talk about the individual amino acids. We talk about protein. Now, remember how I said we need these 9 specific, there's 20 that we can make most of them if we have these 9, but we need the 9 in a certain amount, in a certain ratio, in order to function every single day. There is a minimum amount that you need simply to get up in the morning, and there is an optimal amount that you need literally to live your best life. And I'm not kidding, nor exaggerating. Now, when people tell you that animal protein and plant protein are the same, they are not. And the reason they are not is because a plant, the structure of a plant is a plant, and the structure of an animal is an animal. Humans are animals. Sorry, people, but we are. Some more so than others, but we are. Right? And so the structure of the amino acids and the ratios of the amino acids to create plant structure is different than those to create animal structure. Yes, the body can break down the plant ones into its individual amino acids and put them back together how we need them. But number one, the ratios and the amounts aren't the same. So we're not getting the same bang for our buck. And number two, it's not the most efficient of processes. And especially with all of the other things going on in our lives, we live in a toxic world. We all know it. Artificial food chemicals, pollutants in the air, things we're putting on our skin, stuff in our water, all of it, right? We could be talking for 5 hours, right? You and I, about all of this. But to simplify it, it's not an efficient process. And when the digestive system and the liver aren't working optimally because they're dealing with a whole bunch of other things as well, right? You really want something that your body can say, okay, I recognize this. It's easy to use. I can put it where it needs to go. And the only place that you can get that is animal protein. And it's really interesting because we've been told our entire lives that we need to eat our fruit and vegetables. You need to eat your fruit and vegetables in order to be healthy, and you need to eat your fruit and vegetables in order to get all your vitamins and minerals. And people who add more fruits and vegetables to their diets are healthier. Healthier compared to what? Is the question we should be asking. Healthier than a standard American diet, which is based on grains and starches. Absolutely. But are we optimizing our nutrients? And are we optimizing our protein when we're eating more plants? Or should we be focusing first and foremost on our proteins and using the plants as condiments and adjuncts? in our diets. And I say go with the latter. Why? Because this is going to be shocking to some people. Animal protein contains all the vitamins and minerals and nutrients that you need in order to function beautifully in good amounts and good ratios, and in the animal form. So in a way that your body will look at it and see it and say, okay, I know what this is. Big example, omega-3s. Everybody knows, eat your fatty fish to get omega-3s. Ruminant animal fats, that well-raised ruminants, especially lamb, contain a lot of omega-3s as well. But fatty fish contains omega-3s. This comes in the form of EPA and DHA, which is what your body uses to do what it needs to do with the omega-3s. It's an interesting story around that, but that's for another day. Plant omega-3s, plants have omega-3s, right? Oh, but you can also eat flax and walnut and chia seeds for your omega-3s. Fabulous, that's great. Of course you can. This is in the plant form, and the plant form is called ALA. And the body can convert ALA into EPA and DHA. We can, but again, very inefficient, energy intensive, inefficient process, about 11% conversion. So how much flaxseed do you have to eat to get the same omega-3 as you get from salmon? You can understand the difference. And then what about the other things that come in flax, along with the increase in calories as well, because you're eating more energy when you have to eat more food to get more nutrients? And how is this impacting our bodies and our health and our metabolic processes, right? So if we're looking to be more efficient in our nutrition, which allows us to optimize our health, because inefficient nutrition, the body's wasting time and energy trying to deal with the inefficiencies of the nutrition. Does that make sense when I say that? All right, is to focus on our protein and understanding the difference in the US guidelines between the minimum amount to not die and the optimal amount, which is never discussed, in order to thrive. And I have found that when you understand that high quality protein is the foundation of a well-formulated nutrition plan, everything else tends to fall into place better. Why? Because not only will your body have, in a very usable form, everything that it needs, not just to function, but to repair and restore and begin to fix anything that's damaged. Our bodies are amazing. They're absolutely phenomenal. Given the right tools and given the right time, your body can improve on, if not recover from, many, many chronic illnesses. Now, it depends on how much damage is done, because some damage becomes irreversible and irreparable, but you can always get some improvements, always. And we see this over and over again, especially in people who are diabetic, when they learn to manage their nutrition better, which is really not part of diabetes management, because if you look at the American Diabetes Association diet, it's dismal. But when they do that, what they can do to manage their blood sugars better and easier without adding insulin. And insulin is great. We need it. It saves lives. But there's a Goldilocks zone, and too much is too much. And too much insulin will manage your blood sugar problems, but there are downstream side effects to that. And understanding your nutrition can really help manage that. So remember how I said at the beginning that we cannot store amino acids. One of the ways that your body tells you you've got enough is to say, Charla, stop eating, I'm full. And we know this because if you've ever eaten a big steak, at some point you say, yeah, done, can't eat anymore, don't want anymore. You get the meat, you literally get the meat sweats. People, I'm sure a lot of people, if you've ever been to the Brazilian barbecue, you're well aware of the meat sweats, right? It's your body really trying to work through this protein and telling you stop, and you can't eat another thing. So not only are you physically full, but there's a whole bunch of chemicals in your brain that are saying to you, we're good. Thank you, we're good. And you're full for a while. Bacon and eggs for breakfast in the morning before you go out farming all day, you're full for a long time, right? What happens if you're going to eat, and I'll talk calorically because it'll make sense, the same amount of popcorn. Well, you go to the movies and you get those big buckets of popcorn, right? And you know that you can eat them, and it's really delicious, and it's got that fake butter on it that we all know is terrible for us, but people are eating it, and you're full, like your belly's full and your belly hurts, but there's nothing in your brain telling you to stop eating. So you're still eating, and it's like, how did I finish that whole bucket of popcorn? Or where did that entire bag of chips go? Or how did I finish that whole slab of chocolate, right? Or even a pizza, like how did I eat that entire pizza? Why? Is because from a nutrient perspective, there's nothing triggering your body to say stop eating. So if you're eating to your nutritional capacity, it's a really wonderful way to begin to understand appetite and appetite control as well. So you're getting all the nutrients that you need, and you're controlling your appetite, which isn't allowing you to have 5 pieces of cake and 7 cookies after dinner, because we all know you have pasta for dinner and then an hour and a half later, hungry, right? Or you have a bagel and some peanut butter and some orange juice for breakfast, 2 hours, or oatmeal, or a healthy oatmeal for breakfast. No, not much protein in there, right? And then what happens 2 hours later? Hungry. What are we reaching for? Oh, fruit, because fruit is good for me, so maybe I'll have an apple, but then I'm still hungry. So, and then lunch is a sandwich with not much protein in it, right? Maybe some soup and then so we're always hungry, and we're always eating these foods that are nutritionally depleted, right? And calorically dense. So this is not a good foundation or a good situation for health. Now, yes, there's a lot more nuance and a lot more detail that goes into this, but from that foundation, you have to draw the conclusion that focusing on nutritionally dense proteins is the foundation for a healthy diet and a healthy body. And the brain is part of the body. Healthy body, healthy mind. What about the saturated fat? Again, not all the fat in an animal is saturated fat. There's monounsaturated fat, it's not just that all animal fat is saturated. That also we've been misled. But when you're eating a diet, again, that's nutritionally complete, the fats that we need in the types of fats tend to balance themselves out quite well, is it? And there's some nuance there. What about cholesterol? There's a whole bunch of research that has come out recently that the one marker that doctors look at in cholesterol, which is the only one we can manage with medication, shocking, is not a predictor of cardiovascular health. It isn't. And people who present with cardiovascular disease or heart attacks can have high cholesterol or low cholesterol from the LDL perspective. It doesn't make a difference. So there's nuance. There's a lot of nuance around that as well. So again, if you're worried about cholesterol, have a conversation with somebody who's educated in it, because it's, again, not this big boogeyman that it was made out to be. What about salt? Same thing. We know in the presence of a nutritionally incomplete high carbohydrate diet, salt is very problematic, right? But your body has been adept at balancing salt for thousands of years. Your kidneys pee it out when you have too much. Why can't you do that? Well, when things are out of balance because we're too busy putting out fires from all of the things going on in our lives, the kidneys aren't working properly. One of the biggest issues with type 2 diabetes or high blood sugar is kidney malfunction, right? Like chronic kidney disease. So your kidneys can't work properly. Most people on high blood pressure medications are on low salt diets and their blood pressure is still high. So how well is that working for you?
And I heard the high blood pressure medicines, you can't eat grapefruit, but grapefruit lowers your blood pressure. So that's kind of I mean,
Yeah,
what we've been sold is just hogwash, and
it's a lot. I know, and I've been talking a lot, and I'm trying to touch on a whole bunch of things, but I want to try and emphasize that I'm not simply saying eat meat and don't eat anything else. I'm saying understand the importance of all animal proteins in the diet and build your diet around that. Are plants beneficial for some people? Sure. Are they harmful for some people? Sure. Some people really struggle with digesting plants and some of the plant chemicals, phytochemicals that come along with that. Some people do really, really well with them, but it shouldn't be where you're looking to get all of your nutrients and be nutritionally complete. You can do it, but it's not easy. It's really not easy. It's much easier, bang for your buck, to get the meat and use the plants as an adjunct, right? Humans have been processing food for ever since we started cooking meat. Cooking is a form of processing. Originally, we processed food to make it more nutrient dense. We cook vegetables because then we can get the nutrients from them better. The reason we soak beans before we cook them, if you eat them, I don't, they're gross, don't eat them. But I'm saying if you eat legumes, beans, the reason we soak them is because if you ate a raw kidney bean, you would be in the hospital because your body can't deal with that to get the nutrients out of them. Modern processing has nothing to do with nutrition, and it has to do with shelf life. So understand that when we say don't eat processed foods, it's not don't cook your food. It's don't eat a food that has been manipulated to live on your shelf for longer than it's supposed to, right? Don't eat those things because they're not going to give you what you need, or eat them very minimally, or eat them very occasionally so that your body has time and space to deal with them. And base your diet around the meats, add the plant foods, process foods traditionally, how humans have learned to process them to get their nutrition. And then you can play around with a little bit of eating for entertainment, which is what we generally do, what most people do eat for right
full
now.
time. Yeah. Entertainment has been, and I've said this many times, but I believe watching our society, entertainment has become the highest value. And it's what are we going to eat? What are we going to, play? What are we going to watch to be entertained? And so I do believe that is a very true statement. You've had, you've just like a plethora of information. And I remember when many years ago went on a, I don't know, was it called Atkins or whatever, the high protein diets. And, it was really easy to lose some good weight by just eating mostly meat or all meat, or fat butters. And when I was like, real butter is on this diet? Yeah. So I would okay, I need a cracker because I need something to put the meat and the butter on. I want to ask you this is just a real quick question about, all of a sudden we're hearing all the seed oils, and the seed oils being, was it soy?
Canola, soybean.
Canola is not even, I think that's a made up, I think that's kind of
Canola stands for Canada #1 oil, and it's made from the rapeseed plant. It was developed in Canada, which is Canada #1 oil. Yeah.
But it's an interesting, anyway, so is avocado oil a seed oil? That's the one I'm confused about.
Okay, so I'm just going to say,
because we only have a few more minutes. So
right, my problem with seed oils, what I just spoke about, is something that has been processed to sit on the shelf, right? There's many reasons, not the best, man-made. You need a whole bunch of chemicals in order to extract them. Now we have we have what we call naturally occurring fats, and those come in animals and those come in fruits. And what is an avocado? As much as we think about it as a vegetable, it's a fruit. What is an olive? A fruit. What is a coconut? A coconut is not a nut. It's a fruit. Nuts are seeds, actually. Nuts are the seeds of fruits. But there's reasons those aren't the best oils for you either. And then we have seed oils, even flaxseed oil and sesame seed oil are oils from seeds. And they can be cold pressed, but anyway, but naturally occurring fats made into oils, so avocado, coconut, olive, right? Especially avocado and olive are high in something called monounsaturated fats, really, really good for us. Scientifically, they've been shown to be very heart healthy. They're tasty. They're easy to cook with. If you can tolerate plants, and as I said, some people who can't tolerate plants can't even tolerate the oils from plants. But get a cold pressed one. Always, you want it not to have been processed under heat. And you want to make sure that you keep it in a cool, dark place. And hopefully it doesn't come in a light plastic bottle, because light and heat degrade these oils, and degraded oils, your body doesn't like it. Your body will store and not use degraded oils. It's very toxic to the body.
So the vegetable oil, when it's called vegetable oil, and we use Wesson oil or whatever.
It's a lie. It's made from seeds. Right? Vegetable oil is canola or cottonseed or soybean or palm. They sometimes do palm oil, but the way that they process palm oil is just not good. Right? Anything on a label that says modified, hydrogenated, partially hydrogenated, partially modified, interesterified, avoid.
So very good wealth of knowledge, and it makes me, I mean, I've always felt like meat was important. So I'm not one of those, I love it. I love it. And I'm not a big salad person. So I feel like I'm as healthy as anybody, and this is going to be 71 in 2 weeks, so I'm grateful that somehow my intuition, my instinct, I did read a study that back in when they came out with these artificial sweeteners, the body that, and including high fructose corn syrup, that your body, and you just verified that pretty much, that your body does not recognize, your brain does not recognize that you've got anything, so it doesn't stop you from eating. It bypasses all of that, and no, we're not skinnier or healthier since that invention.
But also, Charla, look at yourself, right? You're energetic. You're not on any medications. You're not struggling with chronic illness, right? Look at your skin. Your skin is fantastic. Look at your brain function. Your brain works. You're like, it doesn't matter if you're 20 or if you're 71 almost, your brain is still functioning properly. That's a testament to the fuel that you're putting into your body. Input, output, right? You know that if you have a Ferrari, right, or whatever dream car you like, and you're putting in regular awful gas, or you're putting in kerosene, right, your car's not going to drive so well. Yes, the engine needs to work. Yes, your sparks and plugs need to, but all of that is fabulous. But if what you're putting into the vehicle sucks, right, the performance that you're going to get out of the vehicle is going to be sucky. And it's the same with us. You have to think input, output. And there is no way that your brain can function well if it is undernourished, and if it has I always say too many fires that it has to put out, too much toxicity that it has to deal with in the body. How is it going?
Not to mention that most of those processed foods have addictive qualities, massively addictive qualities. So
yeah,
I want to just say something. I've got a product here, and it just came out recently as I throw everything on the ground. It's called Zenzino, and I'm a marketer for it because I love it, and what how they described it, because you just talked about a lot of it. Omegas are essential. Your body doesn't produce them. Omega-6 is needed, even though it's inflammatory, and omega-3s are needed because they are anti-inflammatory. You need 3 to 1. And we actually have a test, don't guess, so a blood test to actually see what your ratio is in your cell balance. And people are having massively different results 3 months, a few weeks down the road after taking this oil. I have a 2-minute video that talks about why this oil works, because most of the oils that you take over the counter are not very effective, because no, they've been proven to be very ineffective, actually. So real food, real fish, and all that is important. This is a 19-year-old company that's just coming into the North American market, but it's made in, it's Norwegian, and I got to meet these people. Amazing story about this oils that, and it just a little shot once a day, and it tastes good, and it's simple. And mine came back. My first one came back 6-1. I was pretty impressed with that, because I've seen people's charts coming back, their results coming back 25-1. We're in the American diet. I'm not a health food person at all. I'm not like out there. I eat when I'm hungry. I eat, whatever. But I'm not, I wouldn't call me on what people would call a healthy diet, but I'm healthy because I'm not eating a lot of the processed stuff. And that's my thought on it. So Michal, I should have said this much earlier, MICHALOFER.com, right? Did I say it right? And the name of your company, go ahead and spell that out, or at least get.
My company is Michal Ofer Lifestyle and Wellness. But you can find me on my website, MICHALOFER.com. There's a lot of information there. There's some blogs, there's links to my Facebook. I'm very active on Facebook. I post on Facebook every single day.
You post a really good tip or an article or a really good, and by the way, oh my goodness, her pictures are so lovely. It's like, oh, I want that steak, or oh, that fish looks so good. So I'm really excited about knowing you and finding out more about all this. And it's been a really powerful time. This hour has flown by. And,
wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So you take clients. I'm guessing they don't have to be local in Midland, Texas. You've got, we've got online stuff these days. So that's really cool. If people want to have a consultation with you, I know you have a link, and hopefully most of this stuff will be in the description, but they
can go to my website, reach out to me. I work with individuals. I work with groups. I do business consulting as well, for companies, some health and wellness programs and coaching through that too. And really, you understand my foundation, but I create individualized and customized programs for my clients. So
functional nutrition, functional medicine, with using the foods as guideline. And I think you've really inspired me to think more about that. I got to go have a steak. So.
You gotta go have a steak, right? It's good for, and you can say I'm eating this and it's good for me.
It is, and it's good.
Well, it's as an unprocessed food, it tastes good for a reason.
Well, that's good to know. And I do have a friend that she just resists. Her body doesn't like meat, so in her mind, so she doesn't eat much of it. So
we could work with that, but that's again another time, because we just don't have any more time. But anyway, so by the way, charlaanderson.com is my website, and Zenzino. So you can go to Zurvita.com/Charla, ZURVITA.com/Charla, and test, don't guess. Find out what your ratio is, and it'll be fun when I redo mine and see if it gets more into the 3-1. But I was happy at 6-1 when I'd seen so many others not good. And you can test children too. It's just it's a pinprick, a needle prick, a blood test, but. When my friends saw some of their children having such horrific numbers, we're setting ourselves up for failure. It's not a good thing. But I do believe I'm outrageously optimistic. This is Charla. I'm outrageously optimistic. Things are getting better and not worse. There's the tipping point that life is better, that there's more good people than bad people.
And that's the way I live my life. And we're going to have to stop this thing. And thank you so much, Michal. I really, really appreciate you coming. And remember to always, always, always choose joy.
Parting is such sweet sorrow. The Charla Anderson Show, encouraging you to stand strong and courageous with bold faith, no fear, immense hope, kindness, and love, especially towards yourself. Visit charlaanderson.com for replays, blogs, and more on her ever-expanding website, as well as watch her live TV show on winwinwomen.tv, Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And so that we can continue learning together and growing this community of beautiful souls, we invite you to share the Charla Anderson Show with your circle of friends. Until we meet again next week, remember always, choose joy.